Here we are, another Saturday, Final Cut TV and Coffee. Let me put that up there. Final Cut TV and Coffee as normal. Well, every time I sit in a chair, it's a different, I have to adjust a couple of things. So, how's everybody doing today out there in Final Cut land, Final Cut Pro land? So, we got a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk about WWDC. We're going to talk about some things that happened at WWDC. Let me pull this up where it belongs. There we go. We have our first comment. Hello from the Netherlands. Absolutely. I don't recall you ever watching before. You must be a first-time viewer. Netherlands, of course, of course. Yeah, I'm glad. Welcome. Absolutely welcome. Here. First-time viewer, I presume. That's the first time you've identified yourself. And get some of your friends to come on over there from the Netherlands. We have other friends. Not a lot of time. Not a lot of off time. I understand. You can also watch it, of course, after the fact. Our good friend Sean Beckner says, good morning, Richard. Absolutely. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Sean says, good morning, everyone. Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. We're having a good time. So, as usual, there's a lot to talk about in the world of Final Cut Pro. Now, this is very unusual. Grab your coffee or your tea. This is very unusual to be the wrong cup. I said, what the heck's going on there? This is the cup I wanted. Minnie Mouse. There's a lot that's happened around here. Let me just show you the backyard real quick. We're back to our normal view of Final Cut TV, Final Cut Radio, backyard. Look how beautiful it is. Everything is so green around here. But, so we're going to go over some of the things that happened at WWDC. We're going to review what they said about Final Cut Pro, what they said about DaVinci Resolve, a little bigger, what they said about the Canon camera. Those are the main things. And then we're going to talk about how AI it's affecting, how it might affect Final Cut Pro. That's what we're going to be doing this morning. And we're going to, I have been waiting. Everybody is waiting for Final Cut Pro 10.8. It's coming next week. I got the word it's coming next week. What the heck? Hello from Japan. I'm pretty excited about the Final Cut Pro update that was announced during the WWDC keynote. Yes, there is a second update. Not 10.8. Not 10.8. There's a second update that was indeed announced during WWDC. The Franks 636 here in Italy on the beach under the umbrella. It's 4 p.m. You mean under the umbrella because of sun, right? Because it's the sunshine? That's what I presume you mean. Not because it's raining. I don't think. By the way, thank you very much. There we go. Eric Emmerich says, where's my 10.8? It's coming next week. I got the word. It's coming next week. One thing I've learned about Apple. Lots of rain here in Europe. So where's my 10.8? Here's one thing that has bared out to be true at Apple. When they say later this spring, when they say later this month, when they say later this year, it always means the very, very, very last day possible. Good morning from Jamaica. So, no 10.8 yet, even though it's the spring is almost over. It's sad. This is what I'm talking about. When they say later this spring, when they say later this month, when they say later this year, they mean at the end, at the very end. So, first off, they did not say Final Cut Pro 10.8 was coming out later this spring. Didn't say that. Did not say that. They said Final Cut iPad 2 is coming out later this spring, and they said Final Cut Cam app is coming out later this spring. There was no timetable for 10.8. Now, we could infer that they meant the same for Final Cut 10.8. So I'm going to infer that they meant later this spring, even though they did not say that. They did not say Final Cut 10.8 is coming out later this spring. They just said Final Cut 10.8 is going to be free update for existing users. I came to that same conclusion about coming later this. Let me give you 3 examples. I'll give you 2 examples. Last November, beginning of November, we were at the Creative Summit. They showed us Final Cut Pro 10.7. What did they say? They said coming out later this month. So they announced 10.7. They debuted 10.7 for people at the Creative Summit. At the beginning of November, they said it's coming out later this month. When did it come out? November the 30th. That's as later this month as you could possibly get. Later this month meant November the 30th. They should have said the last day of the month. Okay. 2019, they showed us the Mac Pro. They said it's coming out later this year. It came out, I think, December the 19th, right before the Christmas holiday. So the last possible date they could possibly release it. Now, not WWDC, the iPad event, by the way, I got my iPad Pro 13-inch, 1 terabyte M4. I love it. Absolutely love it. Except for the OS. The iPad OS is not as good as Mac OS. I've been saying that for a long time. I prefer Mac OS by a large margin. But I do like it. I've been editing with it with Luma Fusion. It's fantastic. I'll pull up here in a little while and just show you. And I got the new pencil too. So those are 2 examples. Creative Summit last year, come out later this month, came out on November 30th. WWDC 2019, they said the Mac Pro is coming out later this year. It came out the last week before Christmas vacation. I think that's when it was, December 19th, if I'm not mistaken. This time, at the iPad event, they said iPad 2, Final Cut iPad 2, and the Final Cut Cam app is coming out later this spring. Spring ends this next week. Spring ends next week. That means we're going to get the updates next week. It's just what they do. They say later, later, later. They mean the very end of that later period. That's what they do. So spring ends next week. Later this spring has to be next week. So you're going to get Final Cut iPad 2, you're going to get the Final Cut Cam app, and most likely you're going to get Final Cut Pro 10.8, which is what I'm excited about. 10.8. Can't wait to get my hands on 10.8 and try out the new features, hoping they are of good quality. Yes, the umbrella is for the beach and the sun is splendid here. Hello, Richard. Used Final Cut last night and it works flawlessly. Still can't wait for more features. Absolutely. I hope they give us text-based editing feature as inventive as the new calculator app on iPad. You know, I was wondering what they were going to do with the calculator to make it so appealing. Well, they did some pretty cool stuff, at least for the iPad. Well, the iPad version we're talking about. You can write on it. I can do a formula by hand in my own handwriting, and as soon as I do equal, it'll solve the equation, emulating my handwriting. Emulating my own handwriting, whatever I scribble on there, it'll emulate that and give me the answer in my own handwriting. Pretty darn cool. Pretty darn cool. So when they talked about professional video at WWDC, right? They talked about a new Canon camera with a new, not a new Canon camera, a new Canon lens for Vision Pro. They talked about briefly about Final Cut Pro, new update coming out later in the fall. And they talked more about DaVinci Resolve and a partnership that they have with Blackmagic now, developing a new camera. This is interesting. This is immersive video. Immersive video is different than the Vision Pro, whatever. What do they call the Vision Pro video? What do they call that? So immersive video is 180-degree video. So it's video that goes from the side of your head all the way back to the center. That is going to be done with a new Blackmagic camera with 2 lenses and DaVinci Resolve. And DaVinci Resolve, now it is using compressor. Spatial, that's it. So spatial video is one thing. Spatial video is kind of your peripheral vision, whatever you can see. Immersive video is 180 degrees. It goes all the way to your side vision here and all the way to your side vision there. Spatial video and immersive video are 2 separate things. Immersive video at this point is being developed in cooperation with DaVinci Resolve, not Final Cut Pro. DaVinci Resolve with the DaVinci Resolve spatial video, immersive video camera. Now, that's fine. I have no problem with that. The Final Cut Pro team also gave accolades to DaVinci Resolve last November during the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit Q&A with them. They singled out DaVinci Resolve, and they said I don't remember if they said it was really good NLE or really great NLE. So either one or the other, they singled out, that was 6 months ago. 7 months ago, they'd said that. They've also had other cooperation with DaVinci Resolve and Blackmagic Design. Now they got a camera that Blackmagic Design is developing specifically for immersive video for the Vision Pro. I think that's good. And I think that Apple should work with these other developers, especially DaVinci Resolve, which I use. You're going to see a video in a little while. I pulled a video up from the WWDC and I captioned it in DaVinci Resolve. I love captioning in DaVinci Resolve. It's really, really cool. So easy. Sean Beckner says the calculator is really cool. I agree with that. Being able to search video would be cool if Final Cut Pro based off your description, like what they showed for photos. Yeah, of course. Thank you very much. Of course, absolutely. There's a lot of things coming potentially in AI and Final Cut Pro. That's going to be very interesting going forward. First thing I want is text-based editing and auto captions. It's not coming in 10.8, but it might be coming in Final Cut Pro 11, which I think will be out in November at the Creative Summit. I think we'll be out at November at the Creative Summit. That's what I'm guessing. And why do I think it's going to go from 10.8? 10.8 will be out next week. Why do I think it will go from 10.8 and jump all the way to 11? Who ever heard of such a thing? Well, Logic Pro 10.8 came out last November, and it jumped from Logic Pro 10.8.1 to Logic Pro 11, 6 months. From November to May. In November, it was Logic Pro 10.8. In May, it jumped to Logic Pro 11. That's one of the Pro apps. Is that foreshadowing what they're going to do with Final Cut Pro? I don't know why not. Why would it not do the exact same thing? So 10.8 comes out in June, next week. 10.8 is coming out next week. 6 months from now, a little less than 6 months, but let's just say 6 months, I'm predicting that the Final Cut Pro team is going to show us Final Cut Pro 11, at least preview it. At least preview it, and they're going to say it's coming out later this year, which means before the end of the year. That's what I think, based on what Logic Pro did. Matthew Page said Spatial, of course, that's what I was looking for. Technically, it's stereoscopic video recording. Thank you for the correction. But they called it immersive. Okay, they called it immersive. Good morning, good coffee from Toronto, Canada. Absolutely. Would love auto captions and texting. Yes, please. So here's the thing. So people talk about, I saw a thing about captioning in Final Cut Pro. Yeah, you can do it now, but you got to go to a third-party app. You have to spit out an SRT file. You have to import that into Final Cut Pro to put the captions on the timeline. Then you got to go in and modify and whatever the spelling corrections or change the font and the colors and all that. In DaVinci Resolve, you just bring the video in and say transcribe, and it does it all in-house. And then you can either scribe in the they call it the media pool, but it's a browser like for Final Cut Pro users. Either transcribe the clip in DaVinci Resolve, and in that case, you can just highlight sections, drop it into a timeline, skip a bunch of sections, highlight sections, drop it into the timeline, etc. You can do a rough cut edit into a timeline, or you can take the clip entirely in the timeline and transcribe the entire timeline. Transcribe. Now, once you transcribe it, when you select the text in the text document, it is highlighted in the timeline. When you select the clip, the text in the text document, it's highlighted in the timeline, or if you're using a browser/media pool clip, when you select the text, it's highlighted in the viewer. That's text-based editing. You can delete, you can move it around, you can do a search, which is what I did this morning. I got the WWDC keynote video up and I searched for Black Magic. Boom. The section on Black Magic goes right there. I love that. I absolutely love that. Now, so in DaVinci Resolve, once you transcribe the video, the other option is to make captions of the clips that are in the timeline. And then it'll go through, it's already got the transcription, and make captions all the way through. They can be modified, of course. Now they have a captions track, and you can click on the captions track and change all the captions at once. You can put a background behind it. You can do shadows behind the text. You can change the text. You can change the color. You can change the size. You can change the font. And it affects all the captions on the track. Very, very cool. No exporting SRTs, no importing a video, no exporting of SRT, then importing into the Final Cut. No, it's all in one place. That's what I like. That's what I like. Look how green it is. It is very, very green. Very, very green. Let's see what we got here. Just checking on things. Yes, we do. If you're over there on X, send me a note so I can make sure the comments are coming in. I think they are. I think they are. Let me Let me go over here. Let me try it myself. This is always tricky because I have two different X platforms. Let me see if I can get the video. So let me see, where is it? Notifications, let me see if it's over there. So I have two different versions of X, two different versions. I have X Pro and the regular X. And the regular X, yeah, there it is. Let me see. Broadcast. All right, I can't comment. I can't comment on the regular X Pro platform for some odd reason. I have to go to the regular X platform and comment over there. I don't know why. I just, let's see, notifications, let's go home. Home. We'll come up in a minute. There's nothing I can do about, oh, look at this. Did we lose something? I'm getting ads. Now. This is, what is this an ad for? It's an ad for something. Here's my ad that I'm getting right now. So I'm getting ads with everybody else. Very interesting. What's going on over there at X, though? I don't understand. There we go. Let me see if it comes. See, it doesn't say. Let me see what is. Home. I like to go over there. There it is. Got it. Here we go. Hold on a second. There we go. Jim Eds says greetings. There you go. I gave you my X comment. Thank you very much. Matthew says, would love auto captions and texting, please. So here's the thing. Once you transcribe something for text-based editing, well, it's just a matter of making captions is sure a little bit of change after that. Hello from the Netherlands, also on Facebook. Look at that. Thank you very much. We got all these comments from X. Thank you very much. Did they get the rest of your fallen tree? So what happened was this. We had some tornadoes a few miles from here that touched down and tore up a bunch of houses and tore up a bunch of trees. The tornadoes did not hit my area. As a matter of fact, that tree that came down, it came down the morning after the tornadoes. I don't recall us getting that much wind, so I don't think it might have been weakened during that time. But anyway, the tree dropped this humongous branch. Let me just show you. Thank you very much. Thumbs up. Thank you for watching, adding to the numbers. Thank you very much. Thank you for adding to my number count. It's appreciated. Let me pull this up. MacBook movies. Here we go. Okay, so here's a tree. Here's a tree in background there. Plans for me. I am not going to be taking care of the big stuff. I'm just going to be taking care of some of the small branches out here today. This is going to be my weekend work. I'm going to cut them up into manageable sizes, 6 foot, 8 foot long, and then load them on my trailer. And then we have a landfill that accepts yard waste for free for local residents.
This is the damage that came down. This is just one branch. This did not come down during the tornadoes that we had locally. There's the tree it came from. You can see that in the background. Look how beautiful the skies are today. That's where it was tore from. At 10 o'clock in the morning, I heard this giant thud. And then a neighbor came running over to see, make sure everybody was okay.
That's a lot of branches. I got my chainsaw. Anyway, a lot of work. Now, to answer your question, let me see this. To answer this question, do they get the rest of your fallen tree? So the tree companies are booked up for a couple of weeks. So I signed a contract yesterday. They'll be here at the end of June, I think a Tuesday or so. And of course, I'll videotape that. I mean, the whole process. This is a big 100-foot, 36, 42 inches around oak tree. It's a big tree. So they'll be coming at the end of the month to get the rest of it. I just wanted to get the leaves out because I didn't want those leaves sitting there for a couple of weeks. So yeah, I got a company that I signed a contract with to come and take care of it. If the new OS supports this with notes, why don't Final Cut Pro get it soon after that? Good question. We've talked about that. They have captioning and stuff already in the podcast, so we'll see what happens. Weather rules. Yes, Jim is the one that follows the tornadoes. Have you got your first check? I have. First check is in process. Yes. Ford commercial, absolutely. As a viewer, I try to sit through everyone's commercials who in the independent film industry of YouTube, I believe that correlates to the revenue. It absolutely does. It absolutely does. Thank you very much for that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So here's what's happening. Final Cut Pro 10.8 next week. And of course, next week is the end of spring. So Final Cut Pro 10.8, Final Cut iPad 2, and the Final Cut Cam app. Now, Final Cut iPad 2, at this point, I'm not really interested in. I'm not going to even try. I might try it at some point. I might get the trial for a month, but not right now. I'm editing on my Luma Fusion. I really, really like it. Let me just pull this up while I'm talking to you. So this is my brand new iPad Pro 13-inch. And I got the Magic, the pencil. I got the pencil. Now, here's the interesting thing. So I edit off of a 4 terabyte hard drive, which is this Crucial X9, and I just tuck it in right here in my case. It's fine. It works completely fine. I only need that for Luma Fusion. So let's bring up Luma Fusion. So here's Luma Fusion. And I use the pencil a lot, the pencil and my finger both. So I really, really enjoy editing on the iPad. Now, let me make a qualification about that because I've been talking about it for a while. Let me put this back over here. I like editing on the Mac a lot better than editing on the iPad, but I enjoy editing on the iPad with touch. I enjoy it a lot. There's no ifs, ands, or buts that the Final Cut Pro on the Mac version is more powerful. I can do a lot of things a lot quicker on Final Cut Pro for the Mac. But I enjoy editing on the iPad with touch, with the pencil. I really enjoy it. So here's what it's like. If I wanted to go to the store a mile away, okay, I got choices. I can go in my car. I can go in my, I'm going to call it a dump truck, like I have a dump truck. Or I can go on my electric bike or my motorcycle to the store. Let's just say it's a big pickup truck. So the car is like Final Cut Pro. The pickup truck is like DaVinci Resolve. And the electric bike or motorcycle is like Luma Fusion on the iPad. So I have a choice of which way I want to go. This morning I edited a video in DaVinci Resolve because I needed captions, and Final Cut doesn't have them built in. I'm editing that video on Luma Fusion on the iPad. I like it's a change of pace, and it's different doing touch versus just the keyboard. Like I said, I haven't changed my mind. Final Cut Pro on the Mac is still king. Leaps and bounds for a lot of reasons. Let alone the fact that I can connect to my 56 terabyte RAID, let alone the fact that I have over 2,000 plugins that help me immensely when I'm editing, that don't have any of that on the iPad version. But there is something pretty cool about editing with the pencil and editing with your finger. It's like a change of pace. So the video I'm editing right there is from the local carnival that I went to the other night. I filmed it. I had my GoPro camera on up here on my shoulder and just walked around and just did some filming. So there's nothing really that complicated about it. So I just put it in on that little 4 terabyte drive, stuck it in, formed a project in Luma Fusion, and it works fine. You had to learn a few things. You had to learn some things because there's little things are tricky. I find it interesting. The lady that worked on the transcription said they worked on it this year. I wouldn't have thought many months ago. Yeah, I would have thought so too. Wonder if the Motion VFX plugins will be transferable of people on the Mac version. I guess not. No, there's no evidence that the Mac version of plugins will work on the iPad. Once again, it's Mac OS and iPad OS. They're not equal. They are not the same. I prefer Mac OS by a large margin over iPad OS. I really, really do. But look, I was watching for this iPad to go on sale. I kept checking. I saw it for $50 off. I said, it's not enough. Saw it for $50 off. It's not enough. On Amazon. One night for a few hours, $130 off the brand new M4, 1 terabyte, 13-inch iPad Pro. I jumped on it. $130 off the $18.99 price. It was $17.70, something like that. So I bought it that night. The special was gone in the morning. It was only up for maybe 12 hours or something like that. I have no idea. I don't know if they had a quote or whatever. So I got that. I got the new Pencil Pro. That was $5 off. So I bought that. Have you tried using your iPad as a second display via USB-C? Makes a great HDR videos on OLED. Costly, one at that. I can't wait. Now, there's two things besides editing with Luma Fusion. I am looking forward to taking this when I'm on a plane. I watch videos to pass time. So I'll download an entire series from Netflix or from Amazon Prime. I'll download 1 or 2 complete series that'll take me through in my entire plane trip. So I'll be taking that for that. When I get to the hotel room and I'm doing live streams from the hotel room from the Creative Summit, and it's happening in November, I've never had a second monitor. I don't know why I didn't think about it, but it's very restrictive going from 3 screens, and one of them's 34 inches, down to a 16-inch MacBook Pro, because I have palettes everywhere and different things happening. So absolutely, I'm excited about using the iPad Pro as a second monitor in the hotel room when I'm doing these live streams. I'm very excited about that. And I'll be connecting via USB-C, and I'll have a second monitor, a big one. I mean, that 13 inch is almost as big as my 16 inch. It's just a little bit smaller, so it's amazing. iPad finger edit is fast. It's interesting. I didn't think I wouldn't like it. I'm just so fast on my MacBook Pro and on Mac OS, and I have 2,000 some plugins that help me, that can do things fast. I have things organized. I have my own custom titles and stuff, and I can connect to my 56 terabyte RAID via Thunderbolt. Now, there I got a 4 terabyte SSD connected, and that's what I edit from. Everything goes on there. I unplug it. I close Luma Fusion, unplug it, hook it up to my Mac, load media on, unplug it, plug it back in, launch Luma Fusion, everything's there. And it edits directly from the SSD. It does not have to download the files to the iPad Pro, which it used to have to do. It doesn't have to. Luma Fusion got rid of that issue with the new iPhones last year. Works great if you hardwire it. Absolutely, what I'm going to be doing. I have 3 Thunderbolt ports on my 2021 M1 Max MacBook Pro. So I'll plug the iPad into it with the USB-C cable, and I still have 2 other ports available. So I'll use one for audio for my DJI Mic 2, and one for what's other ones. I have a separate charging thing, so I don't need it for that. So that's exactly what I'll be doing, Jim. I'll be using it I'll hardwire it. I have the 2018 iPad Pro, still works great, but love it. They came out with an iPad Mini Pro. Interesting concept. I love my Logitech MX Master mouse and keyboard for the Mac. I have to look into that. Settings display plus select a range, use that extended or mirror display. I'll use that as extended. I don't want a mirror. I want an extended display so I can keep some things on another monitor rather than on the MacBook Pro. I sometimes also Luma Fusion on my Mac Studio. So here's the interesting thing. Luma Fusion and I have been friends for years. I've interviewed them 6, 7 or 8 times, including at WWDC last year. And one of the things that an iPad OS, iOS application developer can do is they can allow that version of the app to be available on the regular Mac App Store. That's what Luma Fusion did. So the version of Luma Fusion that you pay one price for, $29.99, $29, it's on sale twice a year for $19. It was just on sale for $19. You can run it on your iPads. You can run it on your iPhone. Luma Fusion runs on the iPhone very effectively. It's amazing how effective it is on the iPhone. They did a great job. It runs on Android, it runs on Chromebooks, and it runs on M1 Macs. They have a version of Luma Fusion that runs on M1 Macs. So just using this since I got my iPad Pro last Sunday, so I've been using it since then. Luma Fusion has an enhanced magnetic timeline. It's enhanced. What does that mean? That means it has all the benefits of the magnetic timeline that Final Cut Pro has. Move a clip around, any clips that are attached, move with it. Wherever you go, when you take a clip out, the timeline collapses, et cetera, et cetera. It has all the benefits of a magnetic timeline, plus you can lock tracks so they don't move. So you can lock tracks so they don't move with the other clips. It's an enhanced version of the magnetic timeline. It's better than the original version that Final Cut Pro had. I hear people all the time say, "Oh, nobody can use the magnetic timeline because Apple has a patent on it." I don't know exactly what patent. They have some patents for Final Cut Pro, I'm sure, but Luma Fusion has the magnetic timeline. There's no issues. I don't think they're paying Apple anything for it. I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised. There could be some kind of an agreement they have, but people say that Resolve can't get the magnetic timeline. I think they can. I think anybody can. Time for coffee. Oh, wrong cup. I got two coffee cups. One of them has good coffee in it. That's this one. Good coffee. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to give credit. I want to give credit to Eric Emmerich. Is Eric here today? Is Eric here today? Eric said, I don't see Eric. We'll give him credit anyway. Eric said no hardware at WWDC. Now, he was correct. There wasn't even any hardware, and I was shocked because I thought for sure they were going to tout the M4 for later next year. Just say, here's our new products coming. Here's one of our new products coming out. Here's two of our new products. What that means is one of two things. When they're ready to announce an M4 MacBook Pro or a Mac Studio or a new iMac with the M4 chip, they could either just do a press release and announce it at any time, or they could have an Apple event in October. I'm going to say probably have an Apple event in October. They'll have the iPhone event in September, and then they'll have the Apple event in October. And at that point, they will announce the M4 MacBook Pro, the M4 Studio, the M4 iMac, whatever they have ready, because they're not going to not release M4 Macs this year. They're going to do it before the holiday Christmas season. Absolutely. They're going to do it before the holiday season. They're absolutely going to do it. So anyway, Eric was right. They did not. All the pundits said the same thing. All the pundits said there's no Mac hardware at WWDC. Now, have they done Mac hardware in the past? You betcha. You betcha they have. People say, they always forget this. They always say, oh, there's no Mac hardware at WWDC. There's always Mac hardware at WWDC. Always. Let's see if I have that here. Do I have that? Here we go. Here we go. Let me close this up. And let me open this up. Here is what we've had for Mac hardware. WWDC hardware announcements. WWDC 2023. M2 Max Ultra Studio. M2 Mac Ultra Mac Pro. 15-inch MacBook Air, and of course the Vision Pro. That was 2023 at WWDC. WWDC 2022. We had the M2 processor, we had MacBook Pro 13-inch, and we had the 13.6-inch MacBook Air. That was WWDC 2022. WWDC 2019, we had the Mac Pro, and we had the Pro Display XDR. More hardware at WWDC. 2017, we had the new iMac Pro, we had the HomePod, and we had the new iPad Pros in 2017. So when people say that WWDC is software, we know that. We know it's a developer conference. We also know that Apple, half the time, announces new hardware at WWDC. This year, they did nothing about hardware. I mean, they showed the Vision Pro a little bit, but they didn't. I was shocked that the M4 is only a month old and they didn't even mention it with new hardware. I was really surprised. I've been playing around with making my own masking transitions. I'm currently uploading a video right now where I put 4 in. It's my favorite way to transition when applicable. Have you ever tried that? Yes. It's a lot of work to do it right. Also on a WWDC was the Intel MacBook Pro. Yes, all the MacBook Pros that I remember have always been announced at WWDC. They always announce them at WWDC. Mac Pro, I'm talking Mac Pros. All the Mac Pros have been announced at WWDC. The MacBook Pros, sometimes they're announced at these WWDC, sometimes they're announced at special events. I hope we get AirPod Max 2 in the fall. Yeah, AirPod Max 2. I got the regular AirPods. I got the regular ones, the 2. This is the 2 version Pro. So that's cool. Very, very interesting. So let me pull this down, pull this back up. Let me see here. So one of the other things, we got a couple comments. Simon, from our friend from Italy. Hi, Richard. Good afternoon. From Italy, any news about 10.8? Yes, it's coming out next week. That's the news. That's Richard's news. It's coming out next week. Okay, 10.8 is coming out next week. It's a lot of work. Yes, it is a lot of work to do it right. I mean, especially if you have an irregular shape. If you have a straight line that you can do it with, it's not as bad. In a regular shape like the outside of somebody's head or something, it's a lot of work. Absolutely. I wish they could make that a little bit easier. It'd be great. Wish that could be a little bit easier. That would be great. So we got our friends over there. So let's go over here and watch this. I'm going to do this way. This is from the keynote, WWDC. I'm just going to play a little bits at a time.
We're also making it easier for people to create new spatial content for Apple Vision Pro, like spatial video.
See, they're making a distinction here between spatial video and immersive video. I didn't really pay attention to that until the WWDC keynote. Two different things, spatial video and immersive video. Spatial video is coming to an update to Final Cut Pro, not 10.8, which is coming out next week. It's coming out later this year. Well, what's later this year? The Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. Hasn't been announced yet, but it should be announced sometime over the summer. I'm not going to pre-announce anything. That's up to Future Media Conferences. I'm one of their media partners. So spatial video and immersive video. Spatial and immersive.
We've made it so easy to capture spatial video anywhere with iPhone 15 Pro and iPhone 15 Pro Max.
So spatial video can be recorded with both of those.
It's one of the best ways to relive meaningful moments in your life. Spatial video can also be used by pro videographers to tell powerful brand, product, and creative stories.
So spatial video can be used by professional videographers, right? Yes. Okay.
Creating and sharing spatial videos with commercial audiences easier, Canon will offer a brand new spatial lens.
So here's another partner. Canon is offering a spatial lens for their popular EOS cameras. Now, I'm not a Canon user. I do have a Canon HD camera that uses cassettes. I do have a Canon of that, but I don't have any Canon DSLRs, none of those.
For their popular EOS R7 digital camera. It can record gorgeous spatial video for Apple Vision Pro, even under the most challenging lighting conditions. Spatial videos can then be edited in Final Cut Pro for Mac.
There you go. That's the mention of Final Cut Pro at WWDC. It can be edited on Final Cut Pro for Mac, not Final Cut iPad 2. Not Final Cut iPad 2. This is another distinction between Final Cut Pro and Final Cut for iPad. Another distinction. Final Cut Pro for Mac can edit spatial videos. There's no mention that Final Cut iPad 2 can. So that is your update coming out later this year. Probably 11. It could be 10.8.5. It could be Final Cut Pro 10.9. I'm just saying 11 because Logic jumped. Logic 10.8 came out in November the 30th last year. And in May, less than 6 months later, Logic jumped to version 11. I'm saying that's a pro app that could be telegraphing what's going to happen with Final Cut Pro. We don't know, but we're going to get another update to Final Cut Pro besides 10.8, which is coming out next week.
And shared and viewed in the new Vimeo app for Vision OS. This new professional workflow will be available this fall.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for adding to the viewer count. It is appreciated that you're watching and adding to the viewer count.
Last year, we
Let me see. I don't want to play this whole video.
also introduced Apple Immersive Video.
Okay, here's this interesting thing. They introduced immersive video, which is different than spatial video. Look who's going to edit that.
A game-changing entertainment format created just for Vision Pro. Apple
They partnered with
We've partnered first with Blackmagic Design, a leading innovator in creative video technology, to build a new production workflow consisting of Blackmagic cameras, DaVinci Resolve Studio, and Apple Compressor.
It involves three things. Interestingly, they said we partnered with Blackmagic Design first. They didn't say exclusively or anything else. First with Blackmagic Design. Why not Final Cut Pro? Probably because of the camera. I'm going to presume it's because of the camera that they developed that shoots immersive video. shoots 180-degree video, so it's actually out of your view. You have to look left and right really to see it distinctively. 180-degree video is immersive video. It's like you're sitting there. Things can actually go almost like they're going by you. So it's DaVinci Resolve and compressor. I'm sure Final Cut's going to get it at some point, but there's a partnership there. Apple and Blackmagic Design, absolutely, Apple has singled DaVinci Resolve out and Blackmagic out multiple times. They singled them out during the Creative Summit last year, the Final Cut Pro team did, and Apple, once again, during WWDC, singled out DaVinci Resolve to work with immersive video. No other NLE was mentioned for immersive video, plus the camera. I'm sure that's part of the deal. Blackmagic said, yeah, we'll develop a camera, but we want Resolve to get the first workflow. Well, Resolve plus compressor, I guess somehow they're going to be tied in. Do you expect 10.9 before a brand new version? 10.8. 10.8. It's coming out this week. Is this a video you downloaded? Did you make those titled captions? Yes, I made those titled captions in DaVinci Resolve. It's drop dead simple. You import it, transcribe it, boom, done. Yeah, I was done in, I do all of my captioning in DaVinci Resolve. It's so simple, doesn't cost anything. It's easy to manipulate to get the way you get the font that you want and stuff. So yeah, I did that in DaVinci Resolve. Anytime there's captioning, DaVinci Resolve is my first choice, period. Period. I'm not going to import it into some app, transcribe it, export an SRT, and then grab the SRT and import it into Final Cut and then work with it. No. Just bring it into DaVinci Resolve. It's all done in one place. All done in one place. Do I expect Final Cut Pro to get that? Yes, I do. Absolutely. I expect him to get it. I'm gonna keep on saying Final Cut Pro 11 at the Creative Summit. At least a preview. And I think that'll be one of the big features of Final Cut Pro 11 will be text-based editing and auto captioning. I hope Sony releases a lens. Yeah, I was kind of surprised at Canon. I guess it's whatever the deals they work out. I like Sony, but all my commercial friends like Canon. YouTube isn't on Vision Pro natively, correct? I have no idea. I'm not getting a Vision Pro at some point, perhaps. I mean, I'm not going to eliminate it from everything in my future. This year, Apple is getting their share of my money. I've already got the iPad Pro, the 13-inch, 1 terabyte SSD, with the pencil. It's almost $2,000 with tax and stuff. In $1,900, something like that. Not about $1,900. So they already got me for that. That's already a done deal. Absolutely will get the iPhone 16 Pro Max. Unless there's hardly any video update. I only care about the video update on the iPhones. I'm sure there's going to be a big video update for the iPhone 16 Pro Max, so I'll be buying that. That'll be another $1,600. And then if they come out with an M4 MacBook Pro at the end of the year, I'll probably get that as well. Because I got the M1, so I skipped the M2, I skipped the M3, M4, I'll probably go ahead and get it. By the way, something that I thought that was going to hold me back on what Mac OS I have is apparently not the case. So I'm running my MacBook Pro on Ventura so I can connect to my legacy RAID 5s. I have 2 legacy RAID 5s, a Promise M2, Promise Pegasus M2, and an old G-Tech. They're about the same generation, Thunderbolt 2. And for the longest time, they didn't update the drivers for those two. They said we're not going to update them anymore. Chris Hawking, we had a discussion in our Final Cut TV radio Facebook group. He said, you can use those on Sonoma. I said, really? They work? I said, what drivers did you get? It's just the same ones that we had before, nothing special. So I've investigated it, and they don't make drivers for the M2. They make drivers for the M32 or 32R or something like that are backwards compatible with earlier versions of the Promise RAID. That's what you have to download and use for modern versions of Final Cut Pro. So it looks like I will be able to use these legacy RAIDs. And as a matter of fact, there's another person, Robin something or other, said he's using it on the beta version of Sequoia, and it's working. That's fantastic news, because then I can sell my MacBook Pro and get $1,000 for it, $1,200, whatever the market bears for this one, the M1 Max. If I get the M4, test it out for a week or two, make sure those RAIDs still connect, and my plugins work. Thank you very much. I'll be able to just have one laptop, but we'll have to keep this one. Now, if I only get $900 for it or something, I'll keep it, because it's worth much more to me than to that. But if I can get $1,200, $1,300, $1,400 for it, we'll have to see. But I probably will get the M4. So my point is, this year, Apple's going to get $8,000 out of me between now and the end of the year. Whatever it's going to get. I'm not going to get Vision Pro. Darius News says, remember a few years ago there was massive hype over 3D cameras in production, quickly fizzled. Will it happen again with Spatial? People just want a good story. They don't care about effects. I'm not planning on editing any Spatial video. I mean, if a client wanted it, I would do it. I don't have Vision Pro. I agree with you. I don't really care about 3D, 360, and none of that stuff really appeals to me. I like a good, high quality, 4K or higher screen with good quality storytelling and good audio and a good story. So I agree, but the Vision Pro might accelerate that field a little bit. Vision Pro OS 2 Beta allows you to play any online video in an environment. It's equal to watching in a movie theater. That is very, very cool. That is very, very cool. So we'll have to see. I mean, before 11, do you expect 10.9? Listen, Simon, the Final Cut Pro team just does what the heck they want. I mean, who would have thought they were going to jump from Logic Pro 10.8 to 11 in 6 months? They've never done that before. So all bets are out the door. I'm just saying, since one of their Pro apps already went from 10.8 to 11 in 6 months, Final Cut Pro could also do that. That's all I'm saying. Could it be 10.9? Sure. Could it be 10.8.5? Yes. Yes. It could be all those things. I'm just saying, since they've never gone from 10 point, it was at 10.8.0.1 with the bug fix. And then they jumped to 11. Nobody saw that coming. That was a complete curveball. So I don't know what they're going to do. I'm just saying, based on that Final Cut could go from 10.8 to 11. Is Apple also releasing the new camera app and Final Cut for iPad 2 next week? Yes. Yes. All three next week. So I'll be interested about the new camera app too. It runs on any iPhone, passes, 3 or 4 year old iPhone. It runs on it. No charge, free of charge, has professional quality controls, manual controls and stuff. I got same iPad Pro, but with nano glass, which I very much need and like. I understand. We talked about this before. Eric, did you see the comment I made about you being right about the no hardware at WWDC? I talked about it earlier. But nano glass, I understand. I don't need it. I don't use my iPad outside ever under any condition, so I don't need it. It's fine inside. Everywhere I go, it's fine. It's going to be fine on the airplane. It's going to be fine at the hotel room at the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. I didn't want to spend the extra $100 for it, to be honest with you. It's not enough for Sony to release a spatial lens. They need to create a post-production workflow for processing it. But that's Final Cut Pro, right? Final Cut Pro is going to be editing spatial videos later this year or later this fall. I think they said later this fall. I think they said later this fall. Look at those birds everywhere. Birds, birds, birds. That's the backyard. It's very, very green. Very, very green. So that's what's going. Let me just change one thing here. You know, they have Ecamm Live. Ecamm Live has, I'm on the beta team. I get betas all the time. Not the beta team. They have a beta program. And they've gone into the Zoom version of Ecamm Live. You don't even need Zoom anymore. You can open up Zoom meetings in Ecamm Live without even being in Zoom. It's on some kind of an SDK they've got or whatever. So I haven't updated because this version's working fine for me and I don't do Zoom. Rarely do I do Zoom. In the future, that might change. I'm not saying it won't, but I don't use Zoom hardly at all, so I didn't update the beta. Everything's working fine in this version so far. At some point, I will. There's our friend, Ben Balzer. So, Eric says, I think Canon has a much larger lens biz than Sony. Let me pull this up. Follow-up, have you heard whether the Final Cut Pro iPad multicam feature can be output live on YouTube, for example, and in effect can be used as a truly live switcher? No, it cannot. No, nobody said that. It's recorded locally on the iPad only. There's no evidence that that is going to also stream out to YouTube or somewhere. No. That's what I'm doing right here. I've been doing this for years on my MacBooks. There, here you go. Watch this. Here's another camera. I'm switching them live, streaming them live. Here's another camera. The window down there. Here's another camera. I'm switching live, multicam. I am making an edited version, the program version of this with the switches, plus I'm recording every camera as an individual file. Okay, I've been doing this for years. The difference is the iPad version does not stream out from the iPad. The cameras with the apps only can stream into the iPad. There is no evidence, they didn't say anything about it streaming out. So the answer to your question, no, it does not. I started doing this in 2016 with a different piece of software. Started it with Camlink, not Camlink, I forget what it's called. In 2016, I did live streaming from the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit from my hotel room, multiple cameras, people in the room, switching live, saving individual files. So I've been doing it since 2016, 8 years now. I've been doing exactly what they've got, except they do not stream live out from the iPad. They didn't mention that, so I'm sure it's not a feature. They just said that it streamed into the iPad, but it's not, the switched version is not streaming out from the iPad. Gotta go. Have a great day. Hope to hear you soon or see you soon. You rock like Iggy Pop. Keep pushing and punching. Absolutely. iMac Pro overheating. Apple Store has had it for 2 weeks. Still no clue if I'll get it back. Hate Apple's repair system, but I like the computer, so I sure miss my iMac Pro. Amazing machine. So I've had pretty good luck with Apple repair, but I usually schedule it in advance and stuff. Yours is probably a few years old. Receiving all those streams, switching, recording is a lot of power. Not sure iPads have that much power yet. I would say iPad OS would be the restriction, not the M4 iPad itself, the hardware. That if it ran Mac OS, it probably could do a limited version. Here's the clue. Ecamm Live, which I've been using for 3 or 4 years, they have not announced an iPad version. They haven't said whether they didn't say that they're not working on, but they said there's nothing in the immediate future. iPad OS is more difficult. It absolutely requires a lot of horsepower. I think the M4 chip has it, but I don't think iPad OS can handle it. I think most are getting confused with the term live. Absolutely. It's just local to iPad, no streaming. That's exactly what I've seen. That's what it is. The cameras with the new Final Cut Cam app, notice it's not called Final Cut Pro Cam. It's not called Final Cut Pro Cam. I've seen some people refer to it as Final Cut Pro Cam. It's just Final Cut Cam. That's what I referred to for the iPad version of Final Cut. I say Final Cut iPad. Same thing. So most people are getting confused with the term live. It's just local to iPad. The live part is going in from the cameras or iPads that have the app. It's going in to the iPad with Final Cut iPad 2. And you can make a live multicam, but it's just save locally. Now you could switch it and then stream it later, but it's not coming in and going out like I'm doing here. Once again, I'm doing it here, right? There's one live camera. Here's one live camera. Here's one live camera to my, I'm doing it live here. I'm streaming in and going out, both. And I'm recording separate files and everything else. So this is nothing new. It's just new for Final Cut for iPad 2, and it's a cool little feature. But it's not streaming out of the iPad. If it streamed out of the iPad, that would be an extra bonus, but they didn't say anything about that. So it's bringing the 4 cameras in. You can switch them live. And when it's all said and done, so it initially streams proxy versions to the iPad live multicam, proxy versions of the video, and you edit those. And then when you're in the background, it'll switch it over to the full res version of them. So that's not what I'm doing here. There's no proxy versions. It's the 1080p, or if I have a guest, it's 720p. That's what they have restrictions. So it's 720p or 1080p. There's no proxies needed. So it's been going on for years. I've been doing it since 2016 with Sling Studio software on an iPad. Come to think of it, it was on an iPad. And it streamed out. So it switched live and it streamed it out live. 2016. 8 years ago. Ben Balzer says your money is on 10.8 on Thursday. Yes, yes, absolutely. On my iPad M4, I was extracting some zip files, and where I messed up on my server. This Friday should be the day. Live multicam iPad, going to be sweet. Thursday. I'd be very surprised if it was that on Friday. Thursday, anywhere next week. Anywhere next week. If I had to pick a day, it would be Thursday, but it could be Monday, Tuesday. They've never done it on Wednesday before. Doesn't mean they're not. They just do what the heck they want now. Whatever we say here, they said, we're not going to do that. We're going to change it up. Like Logic Pro from 10.8 to 11. Thank you. Anyone can live stream using the YouTube app on iPad, iPhone. I'm sure Apple can somehow update the OS and the Final Cut Pro hardware to enable live YouTube live streaming. Yes. But I'm streaming to X, YouTube, Facebook simultaneously. And I'm recording separate files. Every one of my sources is a separate file. And I'm recording the switched version, and I'm streaming to 3 platforms simultaneously. Ecamm Live, great app. So I don't think Friday, I think they changed the release date because of you, Richard. Don't jinx us, man. They do watch this. The Final Cut Pro team does watch this. As a matter of fact, let's give Final Cut Pro team a round of applause. Please get 10.8 out to us this coming week. That's what I'm also interested in the Cam app for sure. I'm also absolutely interested in the Cam app. Final Cut Cam. I'll be curious. I buy all of the iPhone camera apps except Filmic Pro. Filmic Pro is dead to me. Not interested in it. Horrible company bought them out. Something spoons, bending spoons. They just completely ruined Filmic Pro. So that's all right. The Blackmagic Cam is my favorite app right now for my phone. It's free. The Final Cut Cam app is free. Apple is not charging for that. So that's very, very, very cool. So yes, Final Cut Pro 10.8 this week, Final Cut Cam app this coming week, Final Cut for iPad 2 coming this coming week. I'm most excited about 10.8 and secondarily Final Cut iPad 2. Third, not Final Cut iPad 2, Final Cut Camera app 2. Final Cut for iPad 2, maybe I'll do the trial around the Creative Summit. I'm not going to do it right now. I don't need it. I got Luma Fusion. It's working fantastically. The fact that the Cam app is going to have an audio meter and zebras is a big deal. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. Audio is what percentage of good video, good audio? 50% or more. And all these years, the camera app that has no audio controls, no audio meters, it's ridiculous. So this makes up for it. It's also free. And all the other manual controls. I never liked Filmic Pro. It turned off HDR. Okay. I am most excited about Final Cut Cam. Absolutely. It's free. It's fantastic. 90%. 90% what, Ben? Why 90% what? Oh, you're saying audio is 90%. Yes. I agree it's more than 50, but yes. When is Luma Fusion 5? They just had videos out later this summer. So anytime, but probably end of June, July. Audio 90%. Yes, I just absolutely agree with more than 50%. But I mean, all these years we've been told, you know, audio, which is true. But the native camera app didn't even have audio meters, let alone other audio controls, let alone the ability to choose an external microphone or even the internal microphones, which one you were using. There's no options for it in the native Apple camera app. Hopefully, Final Cut Cam is going to have those options. External audio, it has manual controls, manual white balance and stuff, which is what we need. So I'm excited about that too, but I buy all the camera apps. I bought that new one from whatever they were. It was on sale for $9. Perpetual license. I'm not going to subscribe to any of them. So Luma Fusion 5 later this summer? I mean, I could probably find out, but there's no reason for me to find out. I'll get it when it comes out. So I am enjoying, like I said earlier, I'm enjoying my iPad Pro 13-inch with Luma Fusion to a very, very large degree. Let me see what's going on here. Previous 7 days, yesterday, finally good. So I want to talk about, we're going to talk about, let me pull this up. This is a great tip from our friend Ben Balzer. Let me pull this up. Get this now. Audio plugin uninstaller. So you don't have to load all your plugins when you have a new version of Logic or Final Cut Pro or Resolve or whatever. It's free for a limited time. Audio plugin uninstaller. And it uninstalls plugins for you. Let me pull up the URL. This is from Ben Balzer. He gave this tip in our Facebook group. Let me pull this up. Let me see. Let's do this. Add. This is the URL for it. widebluesound.com audio/audio-plugin-uninstaller. It's free right now, $10. It'll be after the trial. So definitely, if you don't use it, doesn't make a difference. Get it, it's free. Download for Mac. Audio plugin uninstaller. So you can easily uninstall audio unit plugins that you don't need, that are outdated, that are causing your Logic or something to hang. Great tip from our friend Ben. He put this up, I think, in our Final Cut TV radio group, one of our groups that we share. Fantastic. Ben says, when I updated to Mac OS 14, lots of my AU plugins went dead. This made it super easy to trash them all at once. Well, I presume, I haven't tried it yet, you can just pull them out and save them somewhere. Maybe put them in another folder. I presume you could do that. Ben says, I subscribe to the notion that subscriptions are a scam. Tip, which everyone might know, you can actually control the audio input to your phone with the physical volume controls. It definitely works when using your wired earbuds to record vocals, okay? That is a good tip. I didn't know that. I thought it was just doing the volume. I now have the M2 iPad. Definitely think about upgrading to M4. Ben says it lists them, you select it, and it trashes them, so be careful. So here's my suggestion then, before you use this, get your audio units, I think the components folder, and make a backup copy. Make a backup copy of the entire folder, before you use that plugin. Now, when you say it trashes them, is it put them in a trash so they're still there until you empty the trash? Perhaps, hopefully. You need to have a safety net for people. Safety net. Back up first always, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see what else we have going on here. I'm looking for, where is, oh, let me say something here. Is that, no, there it is right there. There we go. Just checking to make sure everything is good to go. So anyway, 10.8 next week, Final Cut iPad 2 next week, Final Cut camera next week. All three of those next week will be exciting time for Final Cut Pro and Final Cut iPad users. I'm not of the mind that I will use Final Cut for iPad. I got it on my MacBook Pro. So, and I got Luma Fusion on the iPad. Finally. And it's like I said, it's different than editing on the Mac because you're using touch everywhere. And I use the pencil. It's very, very cool. It's different. It's like Final Cut is a car and Luma Fusion on the iPad's like a motorcycle. It's completely different. Completely different. It's different, not completely different. It's just different experiences. So it depends on what you want to do. I predict Final Cut Pro 11 will get here at the Creative Summit in November. At least a preview. They previewed Final Cut Pro 10.4.4 at the Creative Summit, and it didn't come out until December. That's what I'm kind of thinking will happen. Well, the last time we got 10.7 previewed, didn't come out for 4 weeks later at the end of November. Same kind of thing. I think, I don't know why they switched from 10.8 from Logic 10.8, Logic Pro 10.8 to Logic Pro 11 so fast, 6 months. I have no idea why they did that. Is it such a big version that 10.9 wasn't good enough? I don't know. Their numbering system is completely askew at this point. You can't trust anything with that. You just can't trust anything. Numbers don't mean the same, the full point numbers that they used to, up to 10.5. That's when they changed. That's okay. We definitely want to give the Final Cut Pro team who watches this video, we want to give them accolades. Get 10.8 out for us. Next week's when we're expecting it. Any tips on speeding up this week? Just want to get Thursday and Fridays. Just keep busy. Keep busy, keep busy, keep busy. Keep things busy. Go for walks, go for runs. Ride your bike. Do work around the house. Blah, blah, blah. Keep busy and the week will go by fast. Now, I'm pretty excited because I have my iPad Pro M4 1 terabyte. We got that tip from a Final Cut Pro person. I forget what his name is. I'll have to look it up. Let me see. Matthew O'Brien. We got that tip from Matthew O'Brien right after the iPad Pro event that the 512 only has 8 gigabytes of RAM and the 1 terabyte has 16 gigabytes of RAM plus, I think, a faster SSD and stuff. So I was saying, I'll get the 512. I got 4 terabyte. He said, no, you should probably get the 1 terabyte. So Matthew O'Brien, he came on and commented, so we did that. Forget 10-based math, do base Apple math. Train dogs. Stay busy. He's telling you how to stay busy. Renovate a bass guitar, stay busy. Yes, yes, absolutely. Oh, I've got plenty to do. I've got outside yard work to do, inside cleaning up to do. The neatest person in the world, they still accumulate things during their lifetime. And then when you get to be a little older and you have to do some things and think about, well, maybe I'm going to move, you got all this stuff that you have to take care of. Well, I'm in the process of cleaning, getting my house emptied out. I'm selling stuff that I don't use anymore, selling it, taking it to the dump, giving it away. Those are the three things. Selling, taking it to the dump, giving it away. I'm looking at it and say, if I move to a smaller place, would I take this with me? I would absolutely take my studio with me. I have an L-shaped desk. I would take that and have my studio, absolutely. So, and I'd keep my guitars. Well, you can't see the one, but my one's over here, my 69. This one is a 72 or 73 Strat, American-made Strat, I'm not sure which. I'd keep those. And my little amp over here. I'm selling my amps that I'm not using anymore. I'll keep this one. This is my favorite. And I have a Mesa Boogie Mark III that I'll keep for the time being. But if I don't play out live, I really don't need that one anymore. And I would eventually sell that. But they're going for like $1,500 on eBay. So selling everything. I'm gonna get the place empty. I want to empty my place. Just keep everything I need to keep doing live streams, to do video editing. I'm not doing audio recording anymore in my studio. The studio is going to be disassembled, but I'm going to, at some point, move this studio, perhaps do some of my live streams from down in the bigger studio downstairs. That's my plans. Final Cut Pro 10.8, Final Cut iPad 2, Final Cut Cam, they're coming next week. They're coming next week. Now, let me see, do I have any? So when you go to the Creative Summit and you go to Apple Park, which is planned again this year, as far as I know, we'll go in there. You can't take any photographs when you're on the grounds, and you can't do any video recording or any audio recording. That's one of the deals that you signed when you get to go there. However, at the last Final Cut Pro team presentation at Apple Campus, they gave the presentation, and I got permission to take this one photograph. The two Bill Davises, they're both friends of mine. The Bill Davis on the left is in charge of the Final Cut Pro. He's the head manager, or whatever they call the Final Cut Pro team. And then the Bill Davis on the right is my friend for a long time. He does all kinds of things he's a Final Cut Pro proponent, and he does all kinds of things with Final Cut Pro. He edits video and stuff. So this is inside with permission. I didn't take it without permission. I would never do that. With permission, this is a photograph inside with the Final Cut Pro team gave us a presentation of 10.7, a sneak peek of 10.7. They demonstrated it. I expect the same kind of thing will happen. Same kind of thing will happen at the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit 2024. It could be 11. I'm not saying it's definitely going to be 11. It might be 10.9. It could be 10.8.5, but I think 11 is a good possibility. If you're single and not happy, getting married won't help. It certainly won't. Happiness can only be achieved with another guitar. Absolutely. I agree with that. Final Cut Pro will be 13 next Friday. Final Cut Pro, oh, that's the other thing. So we want to congratulate the Final Cut Pro team and wish Final Cut Pro a happy birthday. Absolutely. Happy birthday, Final Cut Pro. Absolutely. Happy birthday, Final Cut Pro. It's going to be 13 years old on Friday. Eric says 13. Yep. It's a hormone-laden teenager. Released April, yeah, that's the old version of Final Cut. Released April 1999, Final Cut Pro 21, June. Yeah, so yeah, if you count that, but we're talking about Final Cut Pro 10, because that was released on June 21st, 2011. Yes. That's what we're concerned with at this point. Not the legacy version of Final Cut Pro, not 7.0.3 was the last official release of Final Cut Pro. So definitely want to wish Final Cut Pro a nice happy birthday. We want to wish the Final Cut Pro team, because they watch this. These are accolades, applause for you. Please get us 10.8 out this week. It's coming out. All the stuff's coming out this week. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. Thursday probably being the best bet, but it could be Monday or Tuesday. I doubt if it'll be Wednesday. I doubt very much it'll be Wednesday. So this is exciting. This is exciting because this is in June in the summertime, and usually it's just not any Final Cut Pro news all over the entire summer. So July and August are like the dog days of summer. There's nothing happening with Final Cut Pro from July and August, with the exception at the end of August, they did release 10.4.9, was it? 10.4.9, which had the proxy workflow improvement. So they did release it at the end of August 1 year, but typically after WWDC, June, July, and August are like the dog days of summer, and there's not much happening. But this year, we're at least getting 10.8, Final Cut iPad 2, and Final Cut Camera at the end of June, which is very, very cool. Legacy only lasted 12 years, so Final Cut Pro 10 is now older than Legacy got to be. That's true. That's very true. It's too hot for anything to happen anyway. It most certainly is. It most certainly is. Oh, my goodness gracious. Just keeping up with everything. I think, let me see something here. Just doing this real quick. Yes, still coming through, still coming through. Just wanted to check and make sure all the watchers on X, the X platform, can comment. They most certainly can. Let me see how many's over there. 62. 62 are watching over on X right now. That's a lot of people. Absolutely a lot of people. Very, very cool. Over on the old X platform, I'm on there every day. I look at things and do searches for FCP AI, searches for Final Cut Pro, searches for WWDC when that's happening, do other searches. I don't get involved in all the nonsense over there. Just ignore that completely. Not the least bit interested in any of that stuff. Have you ever noticed that, well, I'm sure you've all run into it where you get into discussions on Facebook and you get to going back and forth with somebody. Every once in a while that happens, but I pretty much ignore people who like to just hallucinate that you said something and then they argue with the hallucination. I see that happen a lot. I'll say, you hallucinated that, and now you're arguing with the hallucination. So, ignore those people. Ignore those people. Alrighty, what are we doing? Oh, there's a new season of The Boys on Amazon Prime that just came out. There's some other neat TV stuff. I rewatched The Outsider again, and boy, that's pretty intense. It's based on a Stephen King novel. Love The Boys. I did too. This new version is supposed to be good. They've already said there's going to be, this is the 4th season. They've already announced that the 5th season, the one after this one, is going to be the last season for The Boys. So we have one more coming up. Sean Beckner says, everyone have a good weekend. I got a video publishing in 14 minutes. I got to go to announce it. Good update timing for me. No projects in progress. To all the listeners out there, don't wait. Back up your copy of Final Cut Pro in the applications folder now. Do it this weekend. How many people I saw when Logic Pro updated to 11? Oh, they said Logic Pro updated with just by itself. It just updated by itself. No, you didn't have the settings right. Go to your settings and say, do not update in the settings somewhere. If you made a backup copy, it wouldn't be a problem. You can go back. People want to go back and they didn't make a backup copy. Well, good luck with that. Watched first 3 episodes last night. So disturbing. Love it. It's pretty disturbing stuff. I'm going to watch the first 1 or 2 episodes tonight. I probably won't get to 3 because when I watch TV, I start getting tired. New production suite. iPad M4, 3 iPhone 15 Pros, DJI Wireless Pro mic. I have all those things. I have the DJI Wireless Pro 2. I had the 1 for years, and I got the 2 when it came out. And I have my new iPad Pro. I'll just pull this up here real quick again. My iPad Pro, I really, really, really like this. So it's not that you can see. I'm not trying to do a tutorial or anything, but there's Luma Fusion. And I edit, edit with it. It's all kind of things. It has an inspector. It definitely has it's a learning curve. You know how to edit. If you know how to edit, you can edit, but you got to figure out where everything is in here. And there's a couple of things, it has audio. You zoom in, you just do this and zoom in. You can also triple tap and go to the widest zoom level, double tap and go to the narrowest zoom level. A lot of things like that. So it's really, really cool. But I've been wanting to really get involved with Luma Fusion for a long time. So that's one of the main reasons I got the iPad Pro, the 1 terabyte. But like I said, I have this over here, right over here. I have a 4 terabyte. This is 4 terabyte SSD hooked up. All my media is on here. I transfer it from my Mac to this hard drive and then plug this hard drive in, and Luma Fusion edits right from the hard drive. They've been doing that since the iPhone 15 Pro came out with USB-C, but I just keep it right in there in my case. It just sits right in there very neatly. That That drive is crucial. It's a crucial. I got the X9. This is a tiny little drive. This is 4 terabytes, Ben. 4 terabytes. Crucial X9. I didn't get the X10. I got it, and it didn't work that well with the iPhone. The speed wasn't as good as the X9, so I stuck with the X9s. I got 2 of them. So when I go like to the Creative Summit WWDC, I have 2 of those X9s with me. So that's 8 terabytes of storage space, tiny little footprint. So as I get footage from my phone, and if I take my Lumix S5 Mark IIX, which I'll be taking to the Creative Summit, I can download footage and make 2 backup, keep 1 copy on my MacBook Pro, because it's got a 4 terabyte drive, and make 2 backup copies on those little tiny SSDs. Screen looks so clean. Absolutely, it does. And Ben said, what brand is that drive? It's a Crucial X9 is the one I got. They have an X10 too. I bought it and I tested it with my iPhone when it first came out, and the speed wasn't as good. It was half the speed on the phone. It was half the speed on the phone as the X9. So I sent that one back and I kept the X9. So I prefer the X9 because of the phone. On the Mac, they're probably similar in speed, but on the phone, the iPhone, when it first came out with USB-C, it was half the speed as the X9. I don't know why. I have no idea. But anyway, that's what I use. Anyway, that's what I use. Let's take a look at here one more time. Okay. I don't think there's any more movies. Let me just check. Did I forget a movie? Let me just double check here. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think we're in good shape. So here's what I would say about next week. Whenever Final Cut Pro comes out, of course, we'll be back. We'll come back and do a live stream. I'd like to get an hour or so to play around with it, open it up. We can actually open it up live here as well, but I mean, we can play with a little bit here, but the features that it has, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. It's going to have the scrolling timeline icon to turn it on and off. We've already seen that, even though it was not announced. We already saw that. So once again, we want to give congratulations and applause to the Final Cut Pro team that watches. They watch these live streams. They see your comments. They see your comments. When you have comments to say, as long as they're professional, we'll put them on screen. We want to give accolades and applause to the Final Cut Pro team. Final Cut Pro team, get those updates out to us next week. Monday if you want to, Tuesday, whatever. Not Wednesday, because you never do it on Wednesday. I don't know why. Or Thursday, which is very likely. But the other thing is we want to do this. We want to wish Final Cut Pro a happy birthday. "13 years old on Friday, the 21st, when it came out. Could be. Listen, when they released, like I said, they released Logic 10.8 and then 6 months later come up with Logic 11. There's no way anybody predicted that. It doesn't make any They do what they want to do. Yeah, it'll be Wednesday now. Now that I said Monday, Tuesday, it won't be Wednesday. I hope Final Cut Cam allows ProRes 60 to a device like the Blackmagic Cam. You do ProRes 60 frames per second? Man, that's a lot of storage space. That is a lot of storage space. It doesn't do it now? Let me say if it does it. Let me check my camera app and see what options we have. Okay, my iPhone 15 Pro Max does 60 frames per second in 1080p and 60 frames per second high efficiency, HEVC. It does 60 frames of those. Show PAL formats. I'm going to put that on. Oh, can't do that. Very, very cool. So it does 60 frames per second. So it says, here's what it says. A minute of video will be approximately 100 megabytes per second with 1080p at 60 frames per second, or 440 megabytes with 4K at 60 frames per second. So with ProRes, you're talking about using a lot of storage very, very quickly. Sorry, in Europe, there is no 50 frames per second. No 60, you mean no 60, right? I think that's what you mean. Let me see something here. All righty. All righty, just checking the messages. Someone came in. I have a film showing July. It's in July. It's in July at the American Film Institute Silver Theater. Let me pull that up. A film that I've been working on off and on for a few years. Not off and on. We've been working on it for years. And it's going to be showing at the Silver Theater in Silver Spring, Maryland. It's our second showing. We had one a year ago, April, and that's the second showing. It's, you know, I've edited it in Final Cut Pro, of course. No 50 FPS for us, only 25 frames per second. There you go. There you go. Let me just check on X and see if there's anything going on over there. We're on. I can see we're on. Yes, we are. Let me just see. I don't see anything special over there. So I'm going to relax for Saturday for the weekend. So as far as artificial intelligence, we didn't talk about that. What would you like Final Cut to do with artificial intelligence? Now, we've been talking that text-based editing is probably AI, right? Auto captioning is probably AI, don't you think? So those two things for sure. What other kind of things and Apple calls it Apple Intelligence. So there's a couple there's different levels. There's different levels. There's Ben's answer. Laundry, dishes, wax your car, absolutely. There's different levels, the way Apple's doing it, of artificial intelligence. Apple calls it Apple intelligence. Oh, and edit for me. Well, I like doing the editing myself, personally. I mean, they could do a rough cut, perhaps, based on the quality of the video. I like doing the editing. It's like writing a song or playing guitar. I don't want artificial intelligence to play the guitar for me. No, I want my hands on the strings. I want to write songs myself. I don't want to use artificial intelligence. Maybe they can help with some of the lyrics or something like that, but I don't want them messing with the music. It's too much of that going on nowadays with whatever's on the radio that I don't listen to. Artificial intelligence, computer generated stuff, that I don't really care about any of that stuff. I don't listen to it. I have no intentions of listening to it. There's plenty of good music out there that I've already can listen to without computer generated stuff. So there's different levels of Apple intelligence. The first level is on the device. So the first level is going to stay on your device. When you do a query, AI query, Apple intelligence query, it's only going to stay on the device. It doesn't go anywhere to the cloud anywhere. If the device doesn't have the information it needs, the next level is it goes to Apple servers. Apple has their own Apple intelligence servers in the cloud, and that once again will be very, very secure. Okay? They're not selling your data, whatever. It might be you log in anonymously, I have no idea. If Apple servers and Apple intelligence can't get your answer, you can go to Chat GPT, is that what it is? With a deal that Apple and they worked out, Apple's not paying them, they're not paying Apple. They just think it's mutually beneficial for these millions and millions and millions of iPhones to be using Chat GPT. I guess it's Chat. I get confused with the names. Chat GPT. But you are giving Apple explicit permission to do that. It is not being done behind the scenes. It's not being done some sneaky way. You are going to have to give explicit permission that you understand they may be harvesting your data. Apple doesn't control that. You have to give Apple explicit permission to go to that next level. Now, something else Apple said, they said this is the first version of AI outside of Apple that they're going to use, but there's probably going to be others. OpenAI. ChatGPT, OpenAI. There's going to be others. Now, I don't know if there's going to be, could Apple send your request anonymously? Perhaps. Perhaps they could. Perhaps if it goes through Apple or it goes through your device, it'll still be private because Apple's doing their request anonymously. They don't, ChatGPT, OpenAI maybe won't know that it's coming from you as an individual. Maybe Apple has worked something out where it goes through Apple and then to ChatGPT and OpenAI, and then goes back to Apple and then back to you. No idea, but that wouldn't surprise me if Apple worked that out. Final Cut 2 iPad has fast cuts edits baked in. Guess it's AI. There you go. Very cool. Very useful would be if you could search for specific parts in the videos without transcribing before. Yes, that would be AI. That's a good point. So say, get me all the images of this guy playing guitar. That would be very cool. You don't need transcription for that, because if he's playing guitar, it's not going to be transcribed anyway. So that's just an example. Apple is using the free version of ChatGPT. If you personally have a paid account with Open AI, ChatGPT, yes, that's it. Account with OpenAI, you'll have personal access to more advanced functions in ChatGPT. There you go. So OpenAI/ChatGPT is not paying Apple users for access to that free version. But I can guarantee you they're going to try to upsell you to a different version, a higher version. That's probably the reason there's no money exchanging hands as far as we know at this point. So that was a very, very good point, very useful if you could search for specific parts in the videos without transcribing before. So for example, I do a concert and I have 3 different people. I say, give me the concert when this girl bass player is facing straight forward. And it finds all the cuts and she's tracing face forward. And then I say, give me a group of clips when she's turned to the side. And they cut all these clips to turn to the side. That would be AI. It's looking at the video frames, not transcription. Because there's no transcription if you're shooting a music video. It's all music. I mean, maybe the lyricist, the singer, but that's not really what you necessarily need. Give me a hit. Give me a clips when the drummer hits the snare drum, or the drummer does a roll, or the drummer hits the cymbal, or the drummer's just laughing, or whatever. And yeah, that would be very cool. And it goes through and gives you all those cuts. Even if they're not what you want, it gets you in the ballpark. I've never used any AI service. It's not what I'm doing right now. I could see it will be absolutely useful going into the future. I just don't want it to turn into Terminator 6 or whatever. You know what I'm saying. Fantastic. We got 94 people watching live. Is that cool or what? All right, let's do this. I'm going to do this. Here we are right here, 94 people watching live. A lot of them from X, second most. I have no idea who's watching on Facebook because I don't have numbers. There's no numbers here for viewers on Facebook. So we got 94 people watching live just between YouTube and X. Very, very cool. So, yep, it's like anything else. ChatGPT, artificial intelligence, Apple intelligence can be useful. Let's just keep it under control. Let's make sure there's a kill switch in there somewhere. Let's make sure there's a kill switch in there somewhere. I don't see any birds out there. I do not see any birds. Fantastic. Oh, there is a bird. There's a bird sitting right on top. Oh, there he goes. Not sure what kind that was. But there was a bird there right on top. All right, everyone. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. Absolutely. Accolades to everybody listening. We'll be back next Saturday, our normal time, 10 o'clock. And I'm sure we're going to be back this week when Final Cut 10.8 comes out, Final Cut Pro 10.8, and Final Cut Camera come out. Whatever day that is, we'll come back on just so I provide this service so you can make comments and you can make comments and you'll put them on screen. The Final Cut Pro team watches this, so they see your comments. You get to see yourself on screen and all that. Got to go to work. You all take care. Thanks for the show, Richard. Thanks, Ben, for that great tip about that AU plugin remover. That was a great one. I already got that on my mailbox somewhere. I'm going to head out of here, everyone. We got a lot of people watching right now. Final Cut Pro, happy birthday, Final Cut Pro. Happy birthday. Here's your birthday balloons. Absolutely fantastic. 13 years old. The Final Cut Pro team, we know you watch. Here you go. And all you watchers, all the viewers out there, we appreciate each and every one. Tell your friends, go over there to the YouTube channel. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. YouTube, Richard Taylor, at Richard Taylor TV over there at YouTube. That's how you find. Subscribe, hit the like button, all that good stuff. It all adds up. And I appreciate each and every one of you. Absolutely. 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 Exciting week for Final Cut Pro. Birthday's coming up. New version of Final Cut Pro, Final Cut Cam app, and Final Cut iPad 2, the new version. At some point, I might download the trial, but I'm not going to use it right now. I got Luma Fusion. Luma Fusion 5.0 is coming out over the summer. Free update. If you bought Luma Fusion once, there's been no additional charge. They have a new pack with keyframing and stuff, Bezier curves and all kind of neat stuff. That's coming out. But I'm going to get out of here. Next Saturday, we'll be back, Final Cut TV and coffee. But I'll be out during the week, and you'll get notified if you subscribe over there at the YouTube channel. Right, everyone? My name's Richard Taylor. Thanks for tuning in. Point this way. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks, Final Cut Pro team.